Arizona is a state in the southwestern region of the United States, sharing the Four Corners region of the western United States with Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. Its other neighboring states are Nevada to the northwest and California to the west. It also shares an international border with the Mexican states of Sonora and Baja California to the south and southwest. It is the 6th largest state by area and the 14th most populous of the 50 states. Its capital and largest city is Phoenix, which is the most populous state capital in the United States. Arizona is the 48th state and last of the contiguous states to be admitted to the Union, achieving statehood on February 14, 1912. Historically part of the territory of Alta, California, and Nuevo, Mexico in New Spain, it became part of independent Mexico in 1821. After being defeated in the Mexican-American War, Mexico ceded much of this territory to the United States in 1848, where the area became part of the territory of New Mexico. The southernmost portion of the state was acquired in 1853 through the Gadsden Purchase. Southern Arizona is known for its desert climate, with extremely hot summers and mild winters. Northern Arizona features forests of pine, Douglas fir, and spruce trees, the Colorado Plateau, mountain ranges such as the San Francisco Mountains, as well as large, deep canyons, with much more moderate summer temperatures and significant winter snowfalls. There are ski resorts in the areas of Flagstaff, Sunrise, and Tucson. In addition to the internationally known Grand Canyon National Park, which is one of the world's 7 natural wonders, there are several national forests, national parks, and national monuments. Arizona is home to a diverse population. About 1/4 of the state is made up of Indian reservations that serve as the home of 27 federally recognized Native American tribes, including the Navajo Nation, the largest in the state and the country, with more than 300,000 citizens. Since the 1980s, the proportion of Hispanics has grown significantly owing to migration from Mexico and Central America. A substantial portion of the population are followers of the Roman Catholic Church and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Arizona's population and economy have grown dramatically since the 1950s because of inward migration, and the state is now a major hub of the Sun Belt. Cities such as Phoenix and Tucson have developed large, sprawling suburban areas. Many large companies, such as PetSmart and Circle K, have headquarters in the state, and Arizona is home to major universities, including the University of Arizona, Arizona State University, and Northern Arizona University. The state is known for a history of conservative politicians such as Barry Goldwater and John McCain, though it has become a swing state in recent years. The state's name appears to originate from an earlier Spanish name, Arizonac, derived from the Owatum name Alconic, meaning small spring. Initially, this term was applied by Spanish colonists only to an area near the silver mining camp of Planchas de Plata, Sonora. To the European settlers, the Owatum pronunciation sounded like Arizona. The area is still known as Alconic in the Owatum language. Another possible origin is the Basque phrase Harrots ana the good oak, as there were numerous Basque sheepherders in the area. A native-born Mexican of Basque ancestry established the Rancheria small rural settlement of Arizona between 1734 and 1736 in the current Mexican state of Sonora. It became notable after a significant discovery of silver there around 1737. The misconception that the state's name purportedly originated from the Spanish term Arita Zona Arizona is considered a case of folk etymology. For thousands of years before the modern era, Arizona was home to many ancient Native American civilizations. Hohokam, Mogollon, and ancestral Puebloan cultures were among those that flourished throughout the state. Many of their pueblos, cliffside dwellings, rock paintings, and other prehistoric treasures have survived and attract thousands of tourists each year. La Conquista del Colorado by Augusto Ferrer depicts Francisco Vázquez de Coronado's 1540 to 1542 expedition. Garcia López de Cardenas can be seen overlooking the Grand Canyon. In 1539, Marcos de Niza, a Spanish Franciscan, became the first European to contact Native Americans. He explored parts of the present state and made contact with native inhabitants, probably the Sobepuri. The expedition of Spanish explorer Coronado entered the area in 1540 to 1542 during its search for Cibola. Few Spanish settlers migrated to Arizona. One of the first settlers in Arizona was Jose Romo de Vivar. Father Kino was the next European in the region. A member of the Society of Jesus Jesuits, he led the development of a chain of missions in the region. He converted many of the Indians to Christianity in the Pimeria Alta, now southern Arizona, and northern Sonora in the 1690s and early 18th century. Spain founded presidios fortified towns at Tubac in 1752 and Tucson in 1775. When Mexico achieved its independence from the Kingdom of Spain and its Spanish Empire in 1821. What is now Arizona became part of its territory of Nueva California, New California, also known as Alta California, Upper California. Descendants of ethnic Spanish and mestizo settlers from the colonial years still lived in the area at the time of the arrival of later European American migrants from the United States. During the Mexican-American War 1847 to 1848, the U.S. Army occupied the national capital of Mexico City and pursued its claim to much of northern Mexico, including what later became Arizona Territory in 1863 and later the state of Arizona in 1912. 28. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo 1848 specified that, in addition to language and cultural rights of the existing inhabitants of former Mexican citizens being considered as inviolable, the sum of $15 million in compensation equivalent to $528,230,769.23 in 2023 be paid to the Republic of Mexico. 29. In 1853, the U.S. acquired the land south below the Gila River from Mexico in the Gadsden Purchase along the southern border area as encompassing the best future southern route for a transcontinental railway. 30. What is now the state of Arizona was administered by the United States government as part of the territory of New Mexico from 1850 until the southern part of that region seceded from the Union to form the territory of Arizona. This newly established territory was formally organized by the federal government of the Confederate States on Saturday, January 18, 1862, when President Jefferson Davis approved and signed an act to organize the territory of Arizona, marking the first official use of the name Territory of Arizona. The Southern Territory supplied the Confederate government with men, horses, and equipment. Formed in 1862, Arizona Scout companies served with the Confederate States Army during the American Civil War. Arizona has the westernmost military engagement on record during the Civil War with the Battle of Picacho Pass 1862. Geronimo Far Right and his Apache warriors fought against both Mexican and American settlers. The federal government declared a new U.S. Arizona Territory consisting of the western half of earlier New Mexico Territory in Washington, D.C., on February 24, 1863. These new boundaries would later form the basis of the state. The first territorial capital, Prescott, was founded in 1860 for following a gold rush to central Arizona. The capital was later moved to Tucson, back to Prescott, and then to its final location in Phoenix, in a series of controversial moves as different regions of the territory gained and lost political influence with the growth and development of the territory. Although names including Gadsonia, Pimeria, Montezuma, and Arizuma had been considered for the territory, 37 when 16th President Abraham Lincoln signed the final bill. It read Arizona, and that name was adopted. Montezuma was not derived from the Aztec emperor, but was the sacred name of a divine hero to the Pima people of the Gila River Valley. It was probably considered and rejected for its sentimental value before Congress settled on the name Arizona. Citation needed: Brigham Young, leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Salt Lake City in Utah, sent Mormons to Arizona in the mid to late 19th century. They founded Mesa, Snowflake, Heber, Safford, and other towns. They also settled in the Phoenix Valley or Valley of the Sun, Tempe, Prescott, and other areas. The Mormons settled what became northern Arizona and northern New Mexico. At the time, these areas were in a part of the former New Mexico Territory. During the 19th century, a series of gold and silver rushes occurred in the territory, the best known being the 1870 stampede to the silver bonanzas of Tombstone, Arizona. In southeast Arizona, also known for its legendary outlaws and lawmen. By the late 1880s, copper production eclipsed the precious metals with the rise of copper camps like Bisbee, Arizona, and Jerome, Arizona. The boom and bust economy of mining also left hundreds of ghost towns across the territory. But copper mining continued to prosper, with the territory producing more copper than any other state by 1907, which earned Arizona the nickname the Copper State at the time of statehood. During the first years of statehood, the industry experienced growing pains and labor disputes, with the Bisbee deportation of 1917 the result of a copper miners' strike. 20th century to present during the Mexican Revolution from 1910 to 1920. Several battles were fought in the Mexican towns just across the border from Arizona settlements. Throughout the Revolution, many Arizonans enlisted in one of the several armies fighting in Mexico. Only two significant engagements took place on U.S. soil between U.S. and Mexican forces: Pancho Villa's 1916 Columbus raid in New Mexico and the Battle of Ambos Nogales in 1918 in Arizona. After Mexican federal troops fired on U.S. soldiers, the American garrison launched an assault into Nogales, Mexico. The Mexicans eventually surrendered after both sides sustained heavy casualties. A few months earlier, just west of Nogales, an Indian where battle had occurred, considered the last engagement in the American Indian Wars, which lasted from 1775 to 1918. U.S. soldiers stationed on the border confronted Yaqui Indians who were using Arizona as a base to raid the nearby Mexican settlements as part of their wars against Mexico. Arizona became a U.S. state on February 14, 1912, coinciding with Valentine's Day. Arizona was the 48th state admitted to the U.S. and the last of the contiguous states to be admitted. Eleanor Roosevelt at the Gila River Relocation Center, April 23, 1943. Cotton farming and copper mining, two of Arizona's most important statewide industries, suffered heavily during the Great Depression. 44. But during the 1920s and even the 1930s, tourism began to develop as the important Arizonan industry it is today. Dude ranches, such as the K.L. Bar and Remuda in Wickenburg, along with the Flying V and Tank Verde in Tucson, gave tourists the chance to take part in the flavor and activities of the Old West. Several upscale hotels and resorts opened during this period, some of which are still top tourist draws. They include the Arizona Biltmore Hotel in Central Phoenix, opened 1929, and the Wigwam Resort on the west side of the Phoenix area, opened 1930. Arizona was the site of German prisoner of war camps during World War II and Japanese-American internment camps. 47. Because of wartime fears of a Japanese invasion of the U.S. West Coast, which in fact materialized in the Aleutian Islands campaign in June 1942. From 1942 to 1945, persons of Japanese descent were forced to reside in internment camps built in the interior of the country. Many lost their homes and businesses. The camps were abolished after World War II. The Phoenix Seriapau campsite for Germans was purchased after the war by the Maytag family of major home appliance fame. It was developed as the site of the Phoenix Zoo. A Japanese-American internment camp was on Mount Lemmon, just outside the state's southeastern city of Tucson. Another POW camp was near the Gila River in eastern Yuma County. Arizona was also home to the Phoenix Indian School. one of several federal Indian boarding schools designed to assimilate Native American children into mainstream European American culture. Children were often enrolled in these schools against the wishes of their parents and families. Attempts to suppress Native identities included forcing the children to cut their hair, to take and use English names, to speak only English, and to practice Christianity rather than their native religions. Numerous Native Americans from Arizona fought for the United States during World War II. Their experiences resulted in a rising activism in the post-war years to achieve better treatment and civil rights after their return to the state. After Maricopa County did not allow them to register to vote, in 1948 veteran Frank Harrison and Harry Austin of the Mojave Apache tribe at Fort McDowell Indian Reservation brought a legal suit, Harrison and Austin v. Levine, to challenge this exclusion. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled in their favor. Arizona's population grew tremendously with residential and business development after World War II, aided by the widespread use of air conditioning, which made the intensely hot summers more comfortable. According to the Arizona Blue Book published by the Arizona Secretary of State's office each year, the state population in 1910 was 294,353. By 1970, it was 1,752,001. The percentage growth each decade averaged about 20% in the earlier decades, and about 60% each decade thereafter. In the 1960s, retirement communities were developed. These age-restricted subdivisions catered exclusively to the needs of senior citizens and attracted many retirees who wanted to escape the harsh winters of the Midwest and the Northeast. Sun City, established by developer Del Webb and opened in 1960, was one of the first such communities. Green Valley, south of Tucson, was another such community designed as a retirement subdivision for Arizona's teachers. Many senior citizens from across the United States and Canada come to Arizona each winter and stay only during the winter months. They are referred to as snowbirds. In March 2000, Arizona was the site of the first legally binding election ever held over the internet to nominate a candidate for public office. In the 2000 Arizona Democratic primary, under worldwide attention, Al Gore defeated Bill Bradley. Voter turnout in this state primary increased more than 500% over the 1996 primary. In the 21st century, Arizona has frequently garnered national attention for its efforts to quell illegal immigration into the state. In 2004, voters passed Proposition 200, requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote. The Supreme Court of the United States struck this restriction down in 2013. In 2010, Arizona enacted SB 1070, which required all immigrants to carry immigration papers at all times, but the Supreme Court also invalidated parts of this law in Arizona v. United States in 2012. On January 8, 2011, a gunman shot Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and 18 others at a gathering in Tucson. Giffords was critically wounded. The incident sparked national attention regarding incendiary political rhetoric. 3 ships named USS Arizona have been christened in honor of the state, although only USS Arizona BB-39 was so named after statehood was achieved. Arizona is in the southwestern United States as one of the Four Corners states. Arizona is the 6th largest state by area, ranked after New Mexico and before Nevada. Of the state's 113,998 square miles to 195,000 square kilometers, approximately 15% is privately owned. The remaining area is public forest and parkland, state trust land, and Native American reservations. There are 24 National Park Service maintained sites in Arizona, including the 3 national parks of Grand Canyon National Park, Saguaro National Park, and the Petrified Forest National Park. Arizona is well known for its desert basin and range region in the state's southern portions, which is rich in a landscape of xerophyte plants such as the cactus. This region's topography was shaped by prehistoric volcanism, followed by the cooling off and related subsidence. Its climate has exceptionally hot summers and mild winters. The state is less well known for its pine-covered north-central portion of the high country of the Colorado Plateau, see Arizona mountains forests. Like other states of the southwest United States, Arizona is marked by high mountains, the Colorado Plateau, and mesas. Despite the state's aridity, 27% of Arizona is forest, 56% a percentage comparable to modern-day Romania or Greece. The world's largest stand of ponderosa pine trees is in Arizona. The Mogollon Rim, Muge Kun, a 1,998-foot, 609 meters escarpment, cuts across the state's central section and marks the southwestern edge of the Colorado Plateau. In 2002, this was an area of the Rodeo-Chudisky Fire, the worst fire in state history, until 2011. Located in northern Arizona, the Grand Canyon is a colorful, deep, steep-sided gorge carved by the Colorado River. The canyon is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and is largely contained in the Grand Canyon National Park, one of the first national parks in the United States. President Theodore Roosevelt was a major proponent of designating the Grand Canyon area as a national park, often visiting to hunt mountain lion and enjoy the scenery. The canyon was created by the Colorado River cutting a channel over millions of years and is about 277 miles for 146 kilometers long. Ranges in width from 4 to 18 miles, 6 to 29 kilometers, and attains a depth of more than 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers. Nearly 2 billion years of the Earth's history have been exposed as the Colorado River and its tributaries cut through layer after layer of sediment as the Colorado Plateau uplifted. Arizona is home to one of the most well-preserved meteorite impact sites in the world. Created around 50,000 years ago, the Barringer meteorite crater, better known simply as Meteor Crater, is a gigantic hole in the middle of the high plains of the Colorado Plateau, about 25 miles 40 kilometers west of Winslow. A rim of smashed and jumbled boulders, some of them the size of small houses, rises 150 feet 46 meters above the level of the surrounding plain. The crater itself is nearly a mile, 1.6 kilometers wide, and 570 feet, 170 meters deep. Arizona is one of 2 U.S. states, along with Hawaii, that does not observe daylight saving time, though the large Navajo Nation in the state's northeastern region does. Due to its large area and variations in elevation, the state has a wide variety of localized climate conditions. In the lower elevations, the climate is primarily desert, with mild winters and extremely hot summers. Typically, from late fall to early spring, the weather is mild, averaging a minimum of 60 F16C. November through February are the coldest months, with temperatures typically ranging from 40 to 75 F to 20 for Celsius, with occasional frosts. About midway through February, the temperatures start to rise, with warm days and cool, breezy nights. The summer months of June through September bring a dry heat from 90 to 120 F 32 to 49 Celsius, with occasional high temperatures exceeding 125 degrees Fahrenheit 50 to Celsius having been observed in the desert area. 60 Arizona's all-time record high is 128 F 53C recorded at Lake Havasu City on June 29, 1994, and July 5, 2007. The all-time record low of 40 F 40 Celsius was recorded at Holly Lake on January 7 due to the primarily dry climate. Large diurnal temperature variations occur in less developed areas of the desert above 2,500 feet. The swings can be as large as 83 degrees Fahrenheit 46 Celsius in the summer months. In the state's urban centers, the effects of local warming result in much higher measured nighttime lows than in the recent past. Arizona has an average annual rainfall of 12.7 and 323 millimeters, 60 to which comes during to rainy seasons, with cold fronts coming from the Pacific Ocean during the winter and a monsoon in the summer. The monsoon season occurs toward the end of summer. In July or August, the dew point rises dramatically for a brief period. During this time, the air contains large amounts of water vapor, Dew points as high as 81 F27 Celsius, 64 have been recorded during the Phoenix monsoon season. This hot moisture brings lightning, thunderstorms, wind, and torrential, if usually brief, downpours. These downpours often cause flash floods, which can turn deadly. In an attempt to deter drivers from crossing flooding streams, the Arizona legislature enacted the Stupid Motorist Law. It is rare for tornadoes or hurricanes to occur in Arizona. Arizona's northern third is a plateau at significantly higher altitudes than the lower desert, and has an appreciably cooler climate, with cold winters and mild summers, though the climate remains semi-arid to arid. Extremely low temperatures are not unknown. Cold air systems from the northern states and Canada occasionally push into the state, bringing temperatures below F18C to the state's northern parts. Indicative of the variation in climate, Arizona is the state which has both the metropolitan area with the most days over 100 F38 Celsius, Phoenix, and the metropolitan area in the lower 48 states with the most days with a low temperature below freezing Flagstaff. Arizona is considered as relatively vulnerable to climate change, which can make 6 of Arizona's 15 counties uninhabitable for humans by the years 2040 to 2060. This was the cautionary warning made by a December 2020 study released by ProPublica and Rhodium Group. Phoenix, in Maricopa County, is Arizona's capital and largest city. Other prominent cities in the Phoenix metro area include Mesa, Arizona's third-largest city, Chandler, Arizona's fourth-largest city, Glendale, Peoria, Buckeye, Sun City West, Fountain Hills, Surprise, Gilbert, El Mirage, Avondale, Tempe, Tolleson, and Scottsdale, with a total metropolitan population of just over 4.7 million. 69. The average high temperature in July, 106 F41 Celsius, is one of the highest of any metropolitan area in the United States, offset by an average January high temperature of 67 F19 Celsius. The basis, Tucson, with a metro population of just over 1 million, is the state's second-largest city, located in Pima County, approximately 110 miles, 180 kilometers southeast of Phoenix. It was incorporated in 1877, making it the oldest incorporated city in Arizona. It is home to the University of Arizona. Major incorporated suburbs of Tucson include Oro Valley and Marana northwest of the city, Sahuarita south of the city, and South Tucson in an enclave south of downtown. It has an average July temperature of 100 F38 Celsius and winter temperatures averaging 65 F18 Celsius. Saguaro National Park, just west of the city in the Tucson Mountains, is the site of the world's largest collection of saguaro cacti. The Prescott metropolitan area includes the cities of Prescott, Cottonwood, Camp Verde, and many other towns in the 8,123 square miles, 21,000 square kilometers of Yavapai County area. With 212,635 residents, this cluster of towns is the state's third-largest metropolitan area. The city of Prescott, population 41,528, lies approximately 100 miles, 160 kilometers northwest of the Phoenix metropolitan area. Situated in pine tree forests at an elevation of about 5,500 feet, 1,700 meters, Prescott enjoys a much cooler climate than Phoenix, with average summer highs around 88 F31C and winter temperatures averaging 50 F10 Celsius. Yuma is the center of the fourth-largest metropolitan area in Arizona. Located in Yuma County, it is near the borders of California and Mexico. It is one of the hottest cities in the United States, with an average July high of 107 F40 Celsius. For comparison, the same month's average in Death Valley is 115 F46 Celsius. The city features sunny days about 90% of the year. The Yuma Metropolitan Statistical Area has a population of 160,000. Yuma attracts many winter visitors from all over the United States. Flagstaff, in Coconino County, is the largest city in northern Arizona and is at an elevation of nearly 7,000 feet to 1,100 meters. With its large ponderosa pine forests, snowy winter weather, and picturesque mountains, it is a stark contrast to the desert regions typically associated with Arizona. It is sited at the base of the San Francisco Peaks, the highest mountain range in the state of Arizona, which contains Humphreys Peak, the highest point in Arizona at 12,633 feet 3,851 meters. Flagstaff has a strong tourism sector due to its proximity to numerous tourist attractions including Grand Canyon National Park, Sedona, and Oak Creek Canyon. Historic U.S. Route 66 is the main east-west street in the town. The Flagstaff metropolitan area is home to 134,421 residents and the main campus of Northern Arizona University. Lake Havasu City, in Mohave County, known as Arizona's Playground, was developed on the Colorado River and is named after Lake Havasu. Lake Havasu City has a population of about 57,000 people. It is famous for huge spring break parties, sunsets, and the London Bridge, relocated from London, England. Lake Havasu City was founded by real estate developer Robert P. McCulloch in 1963. 70. It has two colleges, Mohave Community College and ASU colleges in Lake Havasu City. Hinduism became the largest non-Christian religion when combining all denominations in 2010 with more than 32,000 adherents, followed by Judaism with more than 20,000 and Buddhism with more than 19,000. By the publication of the Public Religion Research Institute's 2020 study, 68% of the population identified as Christian. At the Pew Research Center's 2014 study, 67% of Arizona was Christian. 106 among the irreligious population from 2014 to 2020 per both studies. They have decreased from 27% of the population to 24% of self-identified irreligious or agnostic or Izonans. Additionally, a third separate study by the Association of Religion Data Archives in 2020 determined Christianity as the dominant religion in the state, with Catholics numbering 1,522, 410 adherents, and non-denominational Christians increasing to 400 to 1,842 Arizonan Christians. Native American tribes. At the onset of European colonization, what is now Arizona was inhabited by many Native American tribes. They included mainly the Navajo, the Apache, the Akimolowatam, the Cocopa, the Halchidoma, the Havasupai, Yavapai, and Walapai, the Hopi, the Yocom and Yano, the Maricopa, the Mohave, the Southern Paiute, the Tohono-O'odham, the Yaqui, the Yuma, and the Zuni Pueblo. Some of them still live in the state today. The largest Native American tribes in Arizona, according to the 2010 census, are listed in the table below. Arizona's total gross state product in 2023 was $508 billion. The composition of the state's economy is moderately diverse, although healthcare, transportation, and the government remain the largest sectors. Arizona's per capita income was $61,652 in 2023, ranking third. The state's 2023 median household income was $74,568, ranking 19th in the country and just below the U.S. national mean. Early in its history, Arizona's economy relied on the 5 C's: copper mining in Arizona, cotton, cattle, citrus, and climate tourism. Copper is still extensively mined from many expansive open-pit and underground mines, accounting for 2/3 of the nation's output. Agriculture, romaine, Yuma multiple crops are grown in Arizona, including lettuce, spinach, cantaloupe, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and watermelon. Federal crop insurance is available for grape Vitis vinifera and other Vitis spp. Here, together with California's crop, it falls under special provisions of the relevant crop insurance statutes. Insect pests and diseases are covered, excluding Phylloxera dactylosfera vitifolia, or failure to correctly apply insect control or apply disease control. The whitefly Bemisia tabaci was introduced through the poinsettia trade in the 1980s, displacing the previous biotype. In 2000, for the Q biotype from the Mediterranean was first found here, also on poinsettia. The Colorado potato beetle, Leptinotarsa disseminata, is either native or an early introduction here. Unusually, the population here commonly feeds on silverleaf nightshade Solanum alagnifolium, which is usually a less attractive host for this beetle. The CPB is an occasional pest of tomato. Main interstate routes include I-17 and I-19 traveling north-south, I-8, I-10, and I-40 traveling east-west, and a short stretch of I-15 traveling northeast-southwest through the extreme northwestern corner of the state. In addition, the various urban areas are served by complex networks of state routes and highways, such as the Loop 101, which is part of Phoenix's vast freeway system. Public transportation, Amtrak, and intercity bus, the Phoenix and Tucson metropolitan areas are served by public bus transit systems. Yuma and Flagstaff also have public bus systems. Greyhound Line serves Phoenix, Tucson, Flagstaff, Yuma, and several smaller communities statewide. A light rail system, called Valley Metro Rail, was completed in December 2008. It connects central Phoenix with the nearby cities of Mesa and Tempe. In Tucson, the Sunlink streetcar system travels through the downtown area, connecting the Maine University of Arizona campus with Mercado San Agustin on the western edge of downtown Tucson. Sunlink, loosely based on the Portland streetcar, launched in July 2014. Amtrak Southwest Chief Route serves the northern part of the state, stopping at Winslow, Flagstaff, Williams, and Kingman. The Texas Eagle and Sunset Limited routes serve south-central Arizona, stopping at Tucson, Maricopa, Yuma, and Benson. Phoenix lost Amtrak service in 1996 with the rerouting of the Sunset Limited, and now an Amtrak bus runs between Phoenix and the station in Maricopa. As of 2021, Amtrak has proposed to restore rail service between Phoenix and Tucson. Capitol Complex, the original Arizona state capitol and Phoenix capital of Arizona, is Phoenix. The original Capitol building, with its distinctive copper dome, was dedicated in 1901. Construction was completed for $136,000 in 1900 when the area was a territory. Phoenix became the official state capital with Arizona's admission to the Union in 1912. The House of Representatives and Senate buildings were dedicated in 1960, and an executive office building was dedicated in 1970. For the 9th floor of this building is where the office of the governor is located. The original Capitol building was converted into a museum. The Capitol complex is fronted and highlighted by the richly landscaped Wesley Bolin Memorial Plaza, named after Wesley Bolin, a governor who died in office in the 1970s. The site also includes many monuments and memorials, including the anchor and signal mast from the USS Arizona, one of the U.S. Navy ships sunk in Pearl Harbor, and a granite version of the Ten Commandments. State legislative branch Arizona legislature is bicameral and consists of a 30-member Senate and a 60-member House of Representatives. Each of the 30 legislative districts has one senator and 2 representatives. Legislators are elected for 2-year terms. Each legislature covers a 2-year period. The first session following the general election is known as the first regular session, and the session convening in the 2nd year is known as the second regular session. Each regular session begins on the 2nd Monday in January and adjourns sine die terminates for the year, no later than Saturday of the week in which the 100th day from the beginning of the regular session falls. The President of the Senate and Speaker of the House, by rule, may extend the session up to 7 additional days. Thereafter, the session can be extended only by a majority vote of members present of each house. The majority party is the Republican Party, which has held power in both houses since 1993. The Democratic Party picked up several legislative seats in recent elections, bringing both chambers 1 seat away from being equally divided as of 2021. Arizona state senators and representatives are elected for 2-year terms and are limited to for consecutive terms in a chamber, though there is no limit on the total number of terms. When a lawmaker is term limited from office, it is common for him or her to run for election in the other chamber. State Executive Branch State of Arizona elected officials. Governor Katie Hobbs D. Secretary of State Adrian Fontes D. Attorney General Chris Mays D. State Treasurer Kimberly Yee R. Superintendent O.F. Public Instruction Tom Horn R. State Mine Inspector Paul Marsh R. Corporation Commissioner Nick Myers R. James O'Connor R. Lee Marquez Peterson R. Anna Tovar D. Kevin Thompson R. Speaker of the House Ben Toma R. President of the Senate Warren Peterson R. Arizona's executive branch is headed by a governor who is elected to a 4-year term. The governor may serve any number of terms, though no more than 2 in a row. Arizona is one of the few states that has no governor's mansion. During their term, the governors reside within their private residence, with executive offices housed in the executive tower at the state capitol. The governor of Arizona is Katie Hobbs D. Governor Jan Brewer assumed office in 2009 after Jeanne Napolitano had her nomination by Barack Obama for Secretary of Homeland Security confirmed by the Senate. Arizona has had 4 female governors and a 5th currently serving, more than any other state. Other elected executive officials include the Secretary of State, State Treasurer, State Attorney General, Superintendent of Public Instruction, State Mine Inspector, and a 5-member corporation commission. All elected officials hold a term of 4 years and are limited to 2 consecutive terms except the office of the State Mine Inspector, which is limited to 4 terms. Arizona is one of 5 states that do not have a lieutenant governor. The elected Secretary of State is first in line to succeed the governor in the event of death, disability, resignation, or removal from office. If appointed, the Secretary of State is not eligible, and the next governor is selected from the next eligible official in the line of succession, including the Attorney General, State Treasurer, and Superintendent of Public Instruction. Since 1977, 4 Secretaries of State and 1 Attorney General have succeeded to the state's governorship. On November 8, 2022, Arizona voters approved a state constitutional amendment, Proposition 131, that created the position and office of the Lieutenant Governor beginning with the 2026 elections. The position will be elected on a joint ticket with the governor. The Lieutenant Governor ascends to the governorship if the incumbent governor dies, resigns, or is removed via impeachment conviction from office. The proposition, through a law pre-passed by the state legislature, also tasks the governor with assigning a job to her or his running mate, such as Chief of Staff, the Director of the State Department of Administration, or any position to which the governor can appoint someone by law. From statehood through the late 1940s, Arizona was primarily dominated by the Democratic Party. During this time, the Democratic candidate for the presidency carried the state each election, the only exceptions being the elections of 1920, 1924, and 1928. All 3 were national Republican landslides. In 1924, Congress had passed a law granting citizenship and suffrage to all Native Americans, some of whom had previously been excluded as members of tribes on reservations. Legal interpretations of Arizona's Constitution prohibited Native Americans living on reservations from voting, classifying them as being under guardianship. 50. This interpretation was overturned as being incorrect and unconstitutional in 1948 by the Arizona Supreme Court, following a lawsuit by World War II Indian veterans Frank Harrison and Harry Austin, both of the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation. The landmark case is Harrison and Austin v. Levine. After the men were refused the opportunity to register in Maricopa County, they filed lawsuit against the registrar, the National Congress of American Indians, the Department of Justice, the Department of the Interior, and the American Civil Liberties Union all filed amicus curiae friends of the court briefs in the case. The state Supreme Court established the rights of Native Americans to vote in the state, At the time, they comprised about 11% of the population, 50 that year. A similar provision was overturned in New Mexico when challenged by another Indian veteran in court. These were the only two states that had continued to prohibit Native Americans from voting. Arizona voted Republican in every presidential election from 1952 to 1992, with Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan winning the state by particularly large margins. During this 40-year span, it was the only state not to be carried by a Democrat at least once. Democrat Lyndon Johnson, in 1964, lost the state by fewer than 5,000 votes to Arizona Senator and native Barry Goldwater. This was the most closely contested state in what was otherwise a landslide victory for Johnson that year. Democrat Bill Clinton ended this streak in 1996 when he won Arizona by a little over 2 percentage points. Clinton had previously come within less than 2% of winning Arizona's electoral vote in 1992. From 2000 until 2016, the majority of the state continued to support Republican presidential candidates by solid margins. In the 2020 United States presidential election, Joe Biden again broke the streak by becoming the first Democratic presidential candidate to win Arizona since 1996. Since the mid-20th century, the Republican Party has also dominated Arizona politics in general. The fast-growing Phoenix and Tucson suburbs became reliably Republican areas from the 1950s onward. During this time, many Pinto Democrats, or conservative Democrats from rural areas, became increasingly willing to support Republicans at the state and national level. While the state normally supports Republicans at the federal level, Democrats are often competitive in statewide elections. 2 of the last 6 governors have been Democrats. On March 4, 2008, Senator John McCain effectively clinched the Republican nomination for 2008, becoming the first major party presidential nominee from the state since Barry Goldwater in 1964. Arizona politics is dominated by a long-standing rivalry between its 2 largest counties, Maricopa and Pima, home to Phoenix and Tucson, respectively. The 2 counties have almost 75% of the state's population and cast almost 80% of the state's vote. They also elect a substantial majority of the state legislature. Maricopa County is home to almost 60% of the state's population, and most of the state's elected officials live there. Before Joe Biden won Maricopa County in 2020, it had voted Republican in every presidential election since 1952. This includes the 1964 run of native son Barry Goldwater. He would not have carried his home state without his 20,000 vote margin in Maricopa County. Similarly, McCain won Arizona by 8 percentage points in 2008, aided by his 130,000 vote margin in Maricopa County. In contrast, Pima County, home to Tucson, and most of southern Arizona have historically voted more Democratic. While Tucson's suburbs lean Republican, they hold to a somewhat more moderate brand of republicanism than is common in the Phoenix area. Arizona teachers strike and rally on April 26, 2018. Arizona rejected a same-sex marriage ban in a referendum as part of the 2006 elections. Arizona was the first state in the nation to do so. Same-sex marriage was not recognized in Arizona, but this amendment would have denied any legal or financial benefits to unmarried homosexual or heterosexual couples. In 2008, Arizona voters passed Proposition 102, an amendment to the state constitution to define marriage as a union of one man and one woman. It passed by a more narrow majority than similar votes in a number of other states. In 2024, Arizona voters passed a constitutional amendment recognizing abortion access within the Arizona state constitution, becoming the southernmost continental state to codify abortion rights. In 2010, Arizona adopted SB 1070, called the toughest immigration law in the United States. A fierce debate erupted between supporters and detractors of SB 1070. The United States Supreme Court struck down portions of the Arizona law, which required all immigrants to carry immigration papers at all times in Arizona v. United States. The West Virginia teachers' strike in 2018 inspired teachers in other states, including Arizona, to take similar action. Arizona retains the death penalty. There is currently a gubernatorial hold on executions. Authorized methods of execution include the gas chamber, same-sex marriage, and civil unions. In 2006, Arizona became the first state in the United States to reject a proposition, Prop 107, that would have banned same-sex marriage and civil unions. However, in 2008, Arizona voters approved of Prop 102, a constitutional amendment that prohibited same-sex marriage, but not other unions. Prior to same-sex marriage being legal, the city of Bisbee became the first jurisdiction in Arizona to approve of civil unions. The state's attorney general at the time, Tom Horn, threatened to sue, but rescinded the threat once Bisbee amended the ordinance. Bisbee approved of civil unions in 2013. The municipalities of Clarkdale, Cottonwood, Jerome, Sedona, and Tucson also passed civil unions. A November 2011 public policy polling survey found 44% of Arizona voters supported the legalization of same-sex marriage, while 45% opposed it and 12% were not sure. A separate question on the same survey found 72% of respondents supported legal recognition of same-sex couples, with 40% supporting same-sex marriage, 32% supporting civil unions, 27% opposing all legal recognition, and 1% not sure. Arizona Proposition 102, known by its supporters as the Marriage Protection Amendment, appeared as a legislatively referred constitutional amendment on the November 4, 2008 ballot in Arizona, where it was approved 56 to 43%. It amended the Arizona Constitution to define marriage as between one man and one woman. On October 17, 2014, Arizona Attorney General Tom Horn announced his office would no longer object to same-sex marriage in response to a U.S. District Court ruling on Arizona Proposition 102. On that day, each county's clerk of the Superior Court began to issue same-sex marriage licenses, and Arizona became the 31st state to legalize same-sex marriage. The 2023 American Values Atlas by Public Religion Research Institute found that an overwhelming majority of residents support same-sex marriage. Education. Elementary and secondary education public schools in Arizona are separated into about 220 local school districts, which operate independently, but are governed in most cases by elected county school superintendents. These are in turn overseen by the Arizona State Board of Education and the Arizona Department of Education, a state superintendent of public instruction, elected in partisan elections every even-numbered year when there is not a presidential election, for a 4-year term. In 2005, a school district redistricting commission was established with the goal of combining and consolidating many of these districts. Higher Education University of Arizona, the mall in Tucson, Arizona State University, a biodesign building in Tempe Northern Arizona University, the Sky Dome in Flagstaff, Arizona is served by 3 public universities: the University of Arizona, Arizona State University, and Northern Arizona University. These schools are governed by the Arizona Board of Regents. Private higher education in Arizona is dominated by a large number of for-profit and chain multi-site universities. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Prescott, and Prescott College are Arizona's only nonprofit 4-year private colleges. Arizona has a wide network of 2-year vocational schools and community colleges. These colleges were governed historically by a separate statewide board of directors, but in 2002, the state legislature transferred almost all oversight authority to individual community college districts. The Maricopa County Community College District includes 11 community colleges throughout Maricopa County and is one of the largest in the nation. List of museums in Arizona. Phoenix Art Museum, on the historic Central Avenue corridor in Phoenix, is the Southwest's largest collection of visual art from across the world. The museum displays international exhibitions alongside the museum's collection of more than 18,000 works of American, Asian, European, Latin American, Western American, modern and contemporary art, and fashion design. With a community education mandate since 1951, Phoenix Art Museum holds a year-round program of festivals, live performances, independent art films, and educational programs. The museum also has Art Kids, an interactive space for children, photography exhibitions through the museum's partnership with the Center for Creative Photography, the landscaped sculpture garden, and dining at Arcadia Farms. Arizona is a recognized center of Native American art, with a number of galleries showcasing historical and contemporary works. The Heard Museum, also in Phoenix, is a major repository of Native American art. Some of the signature exhibits include a full Navajo hogan, the Maureen Allen Nichols collection containing 260 pieces of contemporary jewelry, the Barry Goldwater collection of 437 historic Hopi Kachina dolls, and an exhibit on the 19th century boarding school experiences of Native Americans. The Heard Museum has about 250,000 visitors a year. Sedona, Jerome, and Tubuck are known as budding artist colonies, and small art scenes exist in the larger cities and near the state universities. Film, list of films shot in Arizona. View of Monument Valley from John Ford's Point. Several major Hollywood films, such as Billy Jack, U-Turn, Waiting to Exhale, Just One of the Guys, Can't Buy Me Love, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, The Scorpion King, The Banger Sisters, Used Cars, and Raising Arizona have been made there, as have many westerns. The 1993 science fiction movie Fire in the Sky, based on a reported alien abduction in the town of Snowflake, was set in Snowflake. It was filmed in the Oregon towns of Oakland, Roseburg, and Sutherland. The 1974 film Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, for which Ellen Burstyn won the Academy Award for Best Actress, and also starring Chris Christopherson, was set in Tucson. The climax of the 1977 Clint Eastwood film The Gauntlet takes place in downtown Phoenix. The final segments of the 1984 film Starman take place at Meteor Crater outside Winslow. The Jeff Foxworthy comedy documentary movie Blue Collar Comedy Tour was filmed almost entirely at the Dodge Theater. Some of Alfred Hitchcock's classic film Psycho was shot in Phoenix, the ostensible hometown of the main character. Some of the television shows filmed or set in Arizona include the new Dick Van Dyke Show, Medium, Alice, The First 48, Insomniac with Dave Attell, Cops, and America's Most Wanted. The TV sitcom Alice, which was based on the movie, was set in Phoenix. Twilight had passages set in Phoenix at the beginning and the end of the film. Music Maine article. Music of Arizona, Arizona is prominently featured in the lyrics of many country and western songs, such as Jamie O'Neill's hit ballad There Is No Arizona. George Strait's oceanfront property uses oceanfront property in Arizona as a metaphor for a sucker proposition. The line "See You Down in Arizona Bay" is used in a Tool song in reference to the possibility, expressed as a hope by comedian Bill Hicks, that Southern California will one day fall into the ocean. Glenn Campbell, a notable resident, popularized the song By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Standin' on the Corner Park and Mural in Winslow, Arizona, Arizona was the title of a popular song recorded by Mark Lindsay. Arizona is mentioned by the hit song Take It Easy, written by Jackson Browne and Glenn Frey and performed by the Eagles. Arizona is also mentioned in the Beatles' song Get Back, credited to John Lennon and Paul McCartney. McCartney sings, Jojo left his home in Tucson, Arizona, for some California grass. Carefree Highway, released in 1974 by Gordon Lightfoot, takes its name from Arizona State Route 70 for north of Phoenix. Arizona's budding music scene is helped by emerging bands, as well as some well-known artists. The Gin Blossoms, Chronic Future, Roger Clyne, and the Peacemakers, Jimmy Eat World, Caroline Spine, and others began their careers in Arizona. Also, A number of punk and rock bands got their start in Arizona, including JFA, The Feeders, Sun City Girls, The Meat Puppets, The Maine, The Somerset, and more recently Authority Zero and Digital Summer. Arizona also has many singers and other musicians. Singer, songwriter, and guitarist Michelle Branch is from Sedona. Chester Bennington, the former lead vocalist of Linkin Park, and mashup artist DJ Z-Trip are both from Phoenix. One of Arizona's better-known musicians is shock rocker Alice Cooper, who helped define the genre. Maynard James Keenan, the lead singer of the band's Tool, A Perfect Circle, and Pussifer, calls the town of Cornville home. Other notable singers include country singers Dierks Bentley and Marty Robbins, folk singer Katie Lee, Fleetwood Mac Stevie Nicks, Cease Peniston, Rex Allen, 2007 American Idol winner Jordan Sparks, and Linda Ronstadt. Arizona is also known for its heavy metal scene, which is centered in and around Phoenix. In the early to mid-1990s, it included bands such as Job for a Cowboy, Knights of the Abyss, Greeley Estates, Eyes Set to Kill, Bless the Fall, The Word Alive, The Dead Rabbits, and Abigail Williams. The band Soulfly calls Phoenix home, and Megadeth lived in Phoenix for about a decade. Beginning in and around 2009, Phoenix began to host a burgeoning desert rock and sludge metal underground, Alakias in 1990s California, led by bands like Wolves of Winter, Asimov, and Dead Canyon. American composer Elliott Carter composed his first string quartet 1950-51 while on sabbatical from New York and Arizona. The quartet won a Pulitzer Prize and other awards and is now a staple of the string quartet repertoire. For Super Bowls have been held in Arizona, including Super Bowl 57, which was held at State Farm Stadium on February 12. Due to its numerous golf courses, Arizona is home to several stops on the PGA Tour, most notably the Phoenix Open, held at the TPC of Scottsdale, and the WGC Accenture Match Play Championship at the Ritz-Carlton Golf Club in Marana. Auto racing is another sport known in the state. Phoenix Raceway in Avondale is home to NASCAR race weekends twice a year. Firebird International Raceway near Chandler is home to drag racing and other motorsport events. College sports are also prevalent in Arizona. The Arizona State Sun Devils and the Arizona Wildcats belong to the Pac-12 Conference, while the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks compete in the Big Sky Conference, and the Grand Canyon Antelopes compete in the Western Athletic Conference. The rivalry between Arizona State Sun Devils and the Arizona Wildcats predates Arizona's statehood and is the oldest rivalry in the NCAA. The Territorial Cup, first awarded in 1889 and certified as the oldest trophy in college football, is awarded to the winner of the annual football game between the two schools. Arizona also hosts several college football bowl games. The Fiesta Bowl, originally held at Sun Devil Stadium, is now held at State Farm Stadium in Glendale. The Fiesta Bowl is part of the new college football playoff CFP. University of Phoenix Stadium was also home to the 2007 and 2011 BCS National Championship games, a spring training game between the Cubs and White Sox at Hohokam Park. State Farm Stadium hosted the final of the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament in 2017 and is scheduled to host it in 2024. Baseball. Arizona is a popular location for Major League Baseball spring training, as it is the site of the Cactus League. Spring training was first started in Arizona in 1947, when Brewers owner Veek sold them in 1945, but went on to purchase the Cleveland Indians in 1946. He decided to train the Cleveland Indians in Tucson and convinced the New York Giants to give Phoenix a try. Thus, the Cactus League was born. On March 9, 1995, Arizona was awarded a franchise to begin to play for the 1998 season. A $130 million franchise fee was paid to Major League Baseball, and on January 16, 1997, the Diamondbacks were officially voted into the National League. Since their debut, The Diamondbacks have won 5 National League West titles, 2 National League Championship pennants, and the 2001 World Series. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. Religion. The Spanish mission of San Xavier del Bac, founded in 1700. Religious self-identification, per Public Religion Research Institute's 2022 American Values Survey. Protestantism, Catholicism, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, unaffiliated Judaism, New Age. The 2010 U.S. Religion Census, Religious Congregations and Membership Study by Alta reported that the 3 largest denominational groups in Arizona were the Catholic Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and non-denominational evangelical Protestants. The Catholic Church had the highest number of adherents in Arizona at 930,001, followed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with 392,918 members reported, and then non-denominational evangelical Protestant churches reporting 281,105 adherents. The religious body with the largest number of congregations is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with 811 congregations, followed by the Southern Baptist Convention with 323 congregations. This census accounted for about 2.4 million of Arizona's 6.4 million residents in 2010. Hinduism became the largest non-Christian religion when combining all denominations in 2010 with more than 32,000 adherents, followed by Judaism with more than 20,000 and Buddhism with more than 19,000. By the publication of the Public Religion Research Institute's 2020 study, 68% of the population identified as Christian. At the Pew Research Center's 2014 study, 67% of Arizona was Christian. Among the irreligious population from 2014 to 2020 per both studies, they have decreased from 27% of the population to 24% of self-identified irreligious or agnostic Arizonans. Additionally, a third separate study by the Association of Religion Data Archives in 2020 determined Christianity as the dominant religion in the state, with Catholics numbering 1,522, 410 adherents, and non-denominational Christians increasing to 400 to 1,842 Arizonan Christians. Native American tribes. At the onset of European colonization, what is now Arizona was inhabited by many Native American tribes. They included mainly the Navajo, the Apache, the Akimalawatam, the Cocopa, the Halchidoma, the Havasupai, Yavapai, and Wallapai, the Hopi, the Yocom and Llano, the Maricopa, the Mohave, the Southern Paiute, the Tohono O'odham, the Yaqui, the Yuma, and the Zuni Pueblo. Some of them still live in the state today. The largest Native American tribes in Arizona, according to the 2010 census, are listed in the table below. Arizona's total gross state product in 2023 was $508 billion. The composition of the state's economy is moderately diverse, although healthcare, transportation, and the government remain the largest sectors. Arizona's per capita income was $61,652 in 2023, ranking 33rd in the U.S. The state's 2023 median household income was $74,568, ranking 19th in the country and just below the U.S. national mean. Early in its history, Arizona's economy relied on the 5 C's: copper mining in Arizona, cotton, cattle, citrus, and climate tourism. Copper is still extensively mined from many expansive open pit and underground mines, accounting for 2/3 of the nation's output.